The massive male lion approached Ranger Alex, who was tied securely to an acacia tree on the savanna. Alex had been bound and abandoned by poachers, his body aching and hope nearly lost. The rough sisal rope bit deep into his arms and chest, anchoring him immovably against the harsh bark. The huge male lion stopped just feet away, its amber eyes locked on him. The air thrummed with a dangerous silence. Alex, trying to control the frantic beat of his heart, searched the male lion's intimidating frame for any sign of recognition. That's when he saw it, the faint, jagged scar along its right shoulder, a wound he had surgically repaired and sutured many months before in his small cabin. It had been the lioness, not the male lion, who had brought her cub to Alex for aid, a powerful story of trust you can watch in a previous video on our channel. But this was clearly her mate, the magnificent male lion who had guarded them from a distance. The terrifying predator was now his only hope. The male lion shifted its weight, its gaze moving from Alex's face to the restricting knots around his torso. It lowered its immense head, the coarse mane brushing the dry grass. A low rumble vibrated in its chest, a sound Alex knew wasn't aggression, but something like acknowledgement. The male lion cautiously extended its snout and nudged the rope, then retracted its head, almost as if assessing the complexity of the knots. Alex tried to speak, a raw, dehydrated croak leaving his throat. "It's me, big guy. It's Alex. You remember." The male lion flicked its ear, a small sign that it was listening. It then began to work. With a precision that belied its size, the male lion used its incisors to pull at the thicker strands of the sisal rope, careful to avoid Alex's skin. Progress was painstakingly slow. The knots were tight and wet with morning dew. Alex felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with profound anxiety. If the male lion accidentally bit him, the relief would be instantly replaced by a catastrophic wound. But the animal worked with almost surgical focus, its prior experience with the human's healing hands seemingly translating into a deep, unwavering trust in his mission. Suddenly, a cacophony of shrieking laughter cut through the quiet savanna. In the distance, between two scattered acacia trees, a menacing clan of hyenas appeared. Their low-slung, powerful bodies moved with a predatory intent, drawn by the scent of a stationary human and a focused male lion. The male lion immediately stopped its rescue efforts. It raised its head, turning its focus from the knots to the approaching danger. The lead hyena of the clan of hyenas, a scarred female, trotted forward aggressively. The male lion was forced to make a desperate choice: continue trying to save Alex, or defend both of them from the growing threat. The hyenas were closing the distance fast. Would this act of rescue be abandoned before Alex could even whisper a thank you? Keep watching to see a bond few could ever believe, and the extraordinary defense this lion staged. The standoff between the solitary male lion and the aggressive clan of hyenas escalated quickly, forcing a desperate choice between rescue and survival for the majestic cat. The male lion positioned itself directly between Alex and the advancing clan of hyenas. It unleashed a deafening, territorial roar that shook the very ground. This was not the frustrated groan of a frustrated rescuer, but the clear, intimidating challenge of a protector. The clan of hyenas hesitated, momentarily intimidated by the sheer power and size of the male lion. But their hunger and the perceived weakness of the tied human quickly overcame their fear. They fanned out, their tactic clear, overwhelmed the male lion with numbers. The fight was a blur of dust and ferocity. The male lion, motivated by an unknown sense of duty, lunged. It swatted one of the attacking clan of hyenas mid-air, sending it tumbling. It used its massive bulk to keep the other clan of hyenas at bay, its roar a continuous promise of violence. Alex watched, his heart pounding in his ears. Every strike the male lion delivered, every dodge and counterlunge, was a life-saving action directed not only at the clan of hyenas, but ultimately toward his safety. Alex felt a strange, profound guilt. He was watching his savior fight for its life, totally unable to offer any assistance. The male lion managed to drive the clan of hyenas back toward the thicket of acacia trees, but not without receiving a nasty, superficial scratch on its flank. With the clan of hyenas temporarily repelled, but still visible, the male lion slowly returned to Alex. It was exhausted, its heavy breathing fogging the humid air. It nudged Alex's cheek gently, then turned its head and looked intensely at the ropes. It let out a soft, intentional growl, a sound that shifted in pitch as it looked back at Alex, and then down at the knots again, as if trying to will Alex to understand what to do next. It was a plea for a solution, a nonverbal question. This lion was clearly trying to communicate its frustration and its need for a plan, but was Alex too exhausted and tied up to see the answer? Leave a comment below if you believe this lion's incredible loyalty deserves to be shared. With the clan of hyenas temporarily driven off, a momentary, fragile peace settled on the savannah, but the key to Alex's freedom was still tightly bound to the thick bark of the acacia tree. Alex, energized by the imminent danger, focused on the male lion's pleading gaze and the ropes. The male lion had successfully chewed through the outer layers, but the core was too thick and tight to penetrate without risking Alex's body. Alex desperately began scraping the back of his right hand, where the rope was slightly looser against the rough bark of the acacia tree. He did this repeatedly, trying to fray the sisal fibers down to a thinner, more manageable strand. The bark scraped his skin raw, but he ignored the pain. When he looked up, the male lion was watching him with an intense focus. Alex strained his neck to nod toward the specific area of rope he'd frayed, then back at the male lion's mouth. It was a risky, almost impossible communication, but the intelligent eyes of the male lion seemed to register the instruction. The male lion lowered its head once more. It took a deep breath, and with a quick, powerful movement, it bit down hard on the weakened section. Snap! The rope gave way. Alex tumbled to the side, his body hitting the low green grass of the savannah with a painful thud. He was free, but weak and disoriented. He immediately scrambled backwards, trying to create distance between himself and the huge animal, a reflex he couldn't control. But the danger wasn't over. Just as Alex was struggling to get to his knees, a different sound reached them. The soft padding of multiple paws and the low, collective scent of a larger pride. Around a distant cluster of acacia trees, a new group of lions and lionesses emerged, drawn by the recent fighting. They hadn't witnessed the rescue. They only saw a scrambling, vulnerable human on the ground. For them, Alex was now just prey. The male lion, his protector, turned immediately toward the new arrivals. He let out a fierce, warning roar, not of attack, but of assertion, signaling that this prey was his concern, confusing the new lions and momentarily halting their advance. Alex is finally free, but a new, larger threat is looming. Don't go anywhere. The most shocking part of this story is about to unfold. The immediate panic of the close call faded as Alex finally found his footing, realizing that the most powerful form of gratitude was yet to come from his unlikely protector. Alex, using the adrenaline surging through his veins, managed to crawl behind the acacia tree. The male lion held its ground, a silent sentinel, until the new lions and lionesses, sensing no easy conflict, slowly turned and disappeared back into the thicket. When the male lion finally turned back to Alex, the danger was truly past. Alex sat against the tree, his body aching but his spirit soaring. He looked at the male lion, who was now standing quietly, its massive chest rising and falling rhythmically. There was no aggression, no demand, only a quiet, steady gaze. Alex slowly extended his battered hand, and the male lion, with an intelligence that defied definition, lowered its head one last time, allowing Alex to gently scratch the base of its scarred ear. It was a moment of profound, wordless connection, a final, emotional acknowledgement of a debt paid. The male lion gave a final, soft snort, then turned with quiet dignity and walked away across the savannah, leaving Alex safe and utterly speechless. This encounter wasn't just a lucky coincidence. It was a powerful, undeniable lesson that kindness offered without expectation is never truly forgotten. The male lion remembered the human who had saved its family, and in turn, risked everything to save him. It affirmed that empathy is a powerful survival tool, capable of forging alliances that transcend the boundaries of species. Alex would go on to report the poachers, who were later brought to justice. But the true reward was the validation of his life's work, the innate capacity for trust and connection in the animal kingdom. If this story taught you that even the most ferocious creatures can possess loyalty, share this video with someone who needs a dose of hope today. The bond between Alex and the male lion continues to deepen. And next week, join me as we dive into an incredible story on my channel, a moment that will challenge everything you think you know about the savannah. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next chapter in this wild saga of empathy and survival.